Just welcome everyone. I will introduce myself because some may not know who I am. I'm Councillor John Bruce, filling in for the Mayor, Councillor Curtin, who's an apology. Bernard's not well tonight. Also, we have an apology from Deputy Mayor Rowan Hill, who's away on holidays. I'd just like to acknowledge the other councillors who are here: Dennis Glanville, Darryl Morris, Matt Hannon, Colin Jones and Councillor Neil. I think I've got the rest. Staff members: Susie Escott sitting over there, General Manager Rowan Perkins, Matt Hanson, Director of Corporate Services. Who else have I missed? Red. Yeah, Director of Technical Services sitting down at the back, Fred Exton, with his wife Colleen. Also, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the Jerilderie Mayor, Councillor Ruth McRae. Welcome, Ruth. It's good to have you here. Thanks for coming. Okay, the purpose of the meeting is to discuss the current reform of local government, which the state government has embarked on. It's a process that's been going on for some 3 years or more now. We have to make a response to the state government by the 18th of this month, which is not far away. And tonight is ticking one of those boxes from a state government point of view, where we've called another public meeting to allow the community to be informed. This night is really an information night. We will make a presentation and then we'll open up to discussion. But we are ticking a box. Earlier on, we went around all the towns and had a public meeting and informed the public in the 4 towns what the process was happening. That's about 6 months ago now, I suppose it was, when we did that. Some time ago, but we have been. But this is just a follow-up, a final opportunity for the community to have a say. So I won't go into any more detail. What I'll allow is Rowan to make a presentation rather than repeat ourselves, and then we can open it up for some discussion, questions, and we certainly want to hear your comments. So I'll hand over to Rowan.
Thanks, John. Welcome everyone and thanks for coming. Susie is filming part of tonight's presentation to put it on our website. She won't be filming the question and answer part, just the presentation we'll make, so you don't need to worry about that when you're asking any question. As Councillor Bruce has suggested, the purpose of tonight's meeting is really to inform the community, the council view in relation to the state's proposed merger program for New South Wales. At the end I'll tell you what their position is to date, and then we can talk about that. But just a quick summary of how we got to where we are. And many of you will have seen stuff in the media and you will have seen us out doing public meetings, street stalls, etc. But this all started in 2011. It was basically a program developed by the Office of Local Government and now Local Government New South Wales, which is our industry peak body, where they saw a need to modernise local government for the next 25 years if it was to continue to serve its communities. Councillor McGee and I went to that at Dubbo, as did the Mayor and General Manager of basically every council in New South Wales. Now, that was progressing and came up with a whole raft of things that needed to be done, whether they were statutes or whether it was just how councils operated or about the relationship between the state and the councils. But not far into the process, Local Government New South Wales actually handed that process over to the state and asked them to conduct a review of local government in New South Wales, which probably in my humble opinion might not have been the best thing to do, but anyway, that's what they did. And the state responded by appointing what was known as an independent local government review panel to review local government in New South Wales and to report back to the government. Now, that panel did that and came up with about 70 recommendations across a whole range of issues, about 70 recommendations, as I said. Now, one of those recommendations was about structural reform of council, so mergers and things like that. Now, to this point, the state has primarily focused on that one recommendation and is progressing some of the others, but that's been its primary focus. Now, what they want to achieve out of that, we don't really know, other than some very broad statements. But in relation to Berrigan Shire Council, the panel recommended that it merge with Jerilderie Shire Council, or that Jerilderie Shire Council become a rural council. Now, I don't want to go into a great deal of detail about what a rural council is, but a rural council is basically a normal council that delegates some of its functions to another organisation to undertake on its behalf. Now, there was a range of, if you like, incentive packages provided at that time. The key parts of that were two councils merged. There was a $5 million carrot and then some access to some low-cost borrowings. Following that position that the state had put forward, Berrigan, like all councils, had to either demonstrate to the state that it was fit for the future, as it calls it, or merge with its recommended partner and be deemed to be fit for the future. So even if you weren't, you were deemed to be and had access to the incentive packages. So the council set about preparing a business case, and it also prepared an independent business case in conjunction with Jerilderie. Now, in the case of Berrigan, it basically found that Berrigan was sustainable, and that was supported by meeting the state's seven criteria. And in reality, the council felt was better off to stand alone. Now, having done that, the council considered those reviews, both internal and external, and resolved that it was effectively better off to stand alone. So it prepared a case around that and presented it to IPART. The Independent Pricing and Regulatory Tribunal was appointed by the state to review the council's submissions in relation to their fitness for the future or their merger proposal. So the council submitted its case, as I stated earlier. IPART reviewed those submissions by all councils, and I guess two things have emerged from that. One was that the government was disappointed, I think, that it only got a very low level of number of councils who were wanting to merge. And in the case of Berrigan, it was deemed to be unfit for the future, not because it was not financially sustainable, because it didn't believe it had the strategic capacity to be a credible partner of the state. The benefits the state is espousing as that would be derived from a merger, if you like, are three things, and not necessarily in any order, but a downward pressure on rates, maintain an improvement in the ability to maintain and improve infrastructure, and the ability to maintain and improve service delivery. Now, in my council's opinion, that proposed merger doesn't achieve any of those outcomes. We believe that it would in fact create a council with an underlying deficit position, and if savings are to be achieved through the service through the merger, that'll be from services gravitating to the lowest level, and that was what was highlighted in the independent report we had prepared. And again, you can disagree with us, but we don't see that would be any improvement in the strategic capacity of the new council. Additionally, we see that a long-term financial strain will start pretty well straight away. Due to the government has some restrictions around what councils can do when they merge, and also industrial awards have some restrictions on what can be done. But the reality is that, or the key part is that the state, because it doesn't want to be seen as creating the death or downward spiral of a rural community, protects, and this is a matter of opinion how far it goes, but it protects the staff positions in any town where the council is located with a population of less than 5,000 people. Now in that case, our case, that's both Berrigan Township and Jerilderie Township. Speak up, right. Now, the state has now that the IPART assessment has been released, given the council another 30 days to reconsider its position, which in our case was to stand alone, obviously. At the same time, it's also sweetened the amalgamation package, if you like, where is now prepared to provide, if all the parties agree, so that's the merging councils and the state agree, they'll give you $5 million to assist with the cost of the merger, and they'll give you $5 million for community infrastructure. Now, community infrastructure is in its broadest sense, but it's really capital works as opposed to operational subsidies. The council believes that that change support package doesn't really do anything much to underlie the concern that it has, in that because it can't be used as an operational subsidy, doesn't do anything to address the underlying deficit position. And if it did, it would be short-lived in any case. Now, having identified that concern, the council's met with the Minister and Adrian Piccoli and tried to explain to them that whilst not anti-merger per se, it cannot support a merger proposal that leaves its residents in the state possibly in a worse state than they are now and is possibly unsustainable. So what the council's really saying is that if it doesn't believe that this is a good position for the residents of the Shire, it's not going to do anything that imposes it on the community. The Minister can if he likes, but your council's not going to do that. So the council's position now is to continue to try and stand alone, as it believes in the present circumstances that's in the best interest of the residents. Following on from that, it also believes that if there can be something done to make the new merged council sustainable from day one, it's quite happy to consider the merger with Jerilderie. Doesn't have a problem with that. Now, we are operating in a bit of a vacuum because the government won't tell the councils what happens after we've lodged our submission, which identifies your preferred future. And there's plenty of opinions about whether their incentives will still be available or not available. Anyway, the bottom line is we don't know. So the council's final point to make is that if it is appears to be or is going to be forced to undertake a merger, it will do what it can to take the best option to try and, one, secure what incentive funds are available and whatever else it might be able to achieve to address its concerns. Now, the council's got to commit to its final position, which, as I said, at the moment is to stand alone, continue to try and stand alone. It's got to commit to that by the 18th of November, so that's a week away from today. And that's the purpose of the meeting tonight, is to see whether you're on track with the council's position or you're not, and have some discussion about it, clarify whatever concerns you might have. And Jerilderie, you don't mind me telling them what your position is? Jerilderie have had a meeting today, and their position is twofold. One is to try and continue to stand as a rural council or a four-way merger with Berrigan, Corowa, Yarana and Jerilderie. It doesn't support a merger with Berrigan. So I guess the purpose of tonight is to firstly answer any questions you've got and then see if the council's on the right track according to what you think, or whether you think something else should be happening.